comprehensive, exclusive, and transformative news. Welcome to the Global Lounge from Nairobi, Kenya, giving insight on global issues that affect the public's attitude in politics, business, arts, culture, health, sports, and education. You're with me, Muthoni Ndirangu. But first, a look at major stories from around the world. How safe are you in the air? In a society that is trying to fight the objectification of women, many women have made claims of sexual harassment in the planes. Hong Kong flight attendants have hit back against the sexual harassment that they face from passengers and the airline staff. The US-based Association of Flight Attendants last year called on American Airlines to renounce the past objectification of flight attendants. Here at the Global Lounge, we advocate for fights against sexual harassment. President Uhuru Kenyatta has opened up the 2022 presidential race and urged Kenyans to elect leaders based on their conduct and delivery and not based on their tribe or political party. Senator Gideon Moi has also received support from Meru leaders who have welcomed his candidature, claiming that he is the best person to steer the development of this country. The leaders also say that the former president, Daniel Moi, had served the region well and had been generous to the community. And moving on to some good news. In a country of high-level corruption, South Africa has chosen their first female prosecutor. In a bid to fight corruption, Cyril Ramaphosa's government chose Shamila Batohi, who has been tasked to convince a skeptical public that powerful politicians will now be held to account. Ramaphosa has promised a fresh start for the country, and now all eyes are on her to see if she delivers. Her appointment comes after the appointment of Ethiopia's first female president, Sahle-Work Zewde. We wish her the very best. Among the three global stories highlighted, we shall delve into matters politics, system of governance, and the space the young people have in the politics of this country. Kenya, gaining her independence in December 12, 1963, birthed the new era of democracy which has been adapted to date. With every government coming in, many promises have been made to promote the welfare of young people, including having them participate in political decisions. However, Kenya has a history of hereditary governance, whereby most of our leaders take after their predecessors, who happen to be their fathers. This does not only occur in political government positions, but also in government appointment. So the question that we are asking today is democracy a mere cover-up for Kenya's hereditary system of government? And is there really a space for the young people to participate in the governance of this country with the political dynasties that have been created? Well, I invite you to comment on our Twitter account at the Global Lounge using the hashtag Global Lounge, and on my personal page at Muthoni, and share your thoughts on this matter. We have some interesting responses on Twitter, and at DRM says, any fool can have a share of this country as long as they have money and they're well connected.
The Kenyan political history has so far been that of inheritance. With the growth in the number of Kenyan youth, the desire for more opportunities is becoming more unquenchable, yet more personalities of the older generation are still getting opportunities that can be of benefit to the young people.
We look forward to all of this producing thousands of new jobs, but we will not engage our young people to build these homes as mere labor. We will develop their skills, their acumen through activities so that they may excel.
There have been many case scenarios of people taking their family members, which affects the democracy of the country.
Not the fault of the government. I think it's more of the Kenyans electing the same people at those posts, because you can find that we have elected the same people since Kenya got independence, like from the father now to the son. So Kenya is not really democratic because Kenyans keep on having the same people in those big posts, and that's affecting the country. There's family ties that happen because, for example, you'd say like Muthoni Ndirangu Jr. took over from the father, our own president, there's Raila Amolo Odinga. So there's something that has to be with, your families must know each other so that you must get a post in government. And I don't think it's our fault as the electorate because they come and make promises to us and for jobs for the youth and things like that. But at the end of the day, once they actually get in government, they don't fulfill their promises to us.
Having the same people in power will definitely create political dynasties, and it looks like this is not ending anytime soon.
So Alan, are these political dynasties disadvantaging the opportunities for the youth?
Thank you, Muthoni. I think from what we've seen in the recent past in our country, especially here in Kenya, and as well as in Africa, there have been a lot of political dynasties ranging from the likes of the Uhuru Kenyatta family, as is well known here in Kenya, the Raila Odinga family, who are still in politics until this day. And this begs the question, the youth that are aspiring to get into leadership, and especially the top positions, this is a limiting factor in my view, and that I think these dynasties should pave way for new and fresh blood to come into the political fronts. I think this is when we'll start seeing real change. And I believe in Africa, and especially here in Kenya as well, we vote along tribal lines. I think this has been greatly influenced by these political dynasties. So once we have fresh and sober people who are not allied to any tribe or any family, I think that's when they'll start putting the needs of the Kenyan first and not the needs of their family or the community. Yeah, back to you, Studio Muthoni.
Today's topic seems to have created a lot of buzz online, and at Brayo Karani says, Kenya is politically polarized. We still do not believe in young people, and that's the problem. So a question of the day is, are the political dynasties killing the political opportunities for the youth? To help me answer this question, joining me is Honorable Gishuki Mugambi, Member of Parliament for their constituency, Felix Gizuri, a student leader at Daystar University, and George Muley, a student at Daystar University. Thank you all for joining us today. Posing a question to you, Honorable Mugambi and Felix. Is Kenyan politics monarchical or hereditary? We could start with you, Honorable Mugambi.
Muthoni, that is a very tough question. It's a very tough question because when you look at democracies worldwide, democracy evolves, and it's a whole evolution. And our democracy is very young. We got our independence just the other day, and therefore you're likely to see a mix of all those you have mentioned. It's a mix because when you look at where we are and going by the last general elections, you saw the presidency was contested mainly by children of those who have been in power before. You know, the current president or fourth president is a son of a former president. The runner-up, the right Honorable Raila Odinga, is a son of a former, also a former vice president in this country, and therefore you can see that trend. But all the same, you can also see there are new people coming up.
Thank you for your response on that. Mr. Felix, what is your take on the same?
Kenyan political system, I think, is hereditary, monarchical in the way it has been handled. Although our constitution stipulates that it is democratic.
As we all know, Kenya has a history of hereditary leadership, starting with our head of states, even trickling down to members of parliament. in your own opinion, Honorable Mugambi, as a state leader, is there hope for Kenya to break from the political dynasty culture that we currently have?
I wouldn't agree with you fully that Kenya has a hereditary leadership system. It's not a very correct system, because when you look at also some leaders, we have a leader like President Uhuru Kenyatta. As much as you can say he's advantaged because his father was a president, on his own he's still a great leader. On his own he's done a lot for this country. On his own he sacrificed for this country. When you look at the right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, who has sacrificed more in this country than him in terms of building democracy. You know, as much as he comes from a family, you can say he has been in leadership. On his own, he has his own credentials. He's not just relying on the credentials of his father. And that's the way I would like to look at it. That as much as they are advantaged, they are not just inheriting seats. It's not like those dynasty systems. No, it's not. They still have to have worked on their own.
George, are we politically brainwashed by our leaders such that we keep selecting our own?
Yes, we are. We are the problem. I think people say Kenya is corrupt, but who is Kenya? Kenya is us. Kenya is the people, it's the citizens. So I'd say that we are the problem, because in as much as we complain, we are part of the problem. No, we are the problem, and it's a weird situation because we are also the solution. So I'd say we are the problem. Yes, we are.
As a young person, do you feel like there is space for young people in the governance of this country?
As I said earlier, Kenya is like an auction house. Kenya is up to the highest bidder, to whoever can afford it. So even if it's to the youth, if you can afford to buy your space into the political arena, if you can afford to bribe someone to buy your space into positions of power, and coincidentally you are young, utaingia kaa jana. So I would say Kenya doesn't have space for any demographic except for the ones who are wealthy enough to buy these resources. So there's no space for anyone.
And do you think that there is really a space for new leaders to crop up in the current system?
Kenya is like an auction house. Kenya is up to the highest bidder, to whoever can afford it. So even if it's to the youth, if you can afford to buy your space into the political arena, if you can afford to bribe someone to buy your space into positions of power, and coincidentally you are young, utaingia kaa jana. So I would say Kenya doesn't have space for any demographic except for the ones who are wealthy enough to buy these resources. So there's no space for anyone. Poor, young, old, poor, doesn't matter. All that takes is the money.
Honorable Mugambi, based on the appointment of Mudiawori, do young people really have a place in the current system of government? Considering the fact that the Jubilee government promised opportunities for the young people.
This is what young people must appreciate. They have had the opportunity to have the right knowledge. You are IT savvy. You have all the knowledge. You have traveled worldwide. The independence we acquired should help you, because we opened all the boundaries. Today there's no boundary for you or where you should trade. You know, the world is on your hands. You have this mobile phone allowing you to access anything you want. It's like you have a world on your hands. Is what we used to say, the world is becoming a village. Now, when you start looking at one position, for an old man who has been, because even those old systems, old people had their space. And you can't say if they occupy somewhere, they are denying you space when the world has been opened for all of you. I think it's upon the young people to rise up to the occasion, to understand that first being youth, actually is not an entitlement to anything, because youth is just defined by a number. You are perhaps up to 35. That does not entitle you to anything in the country. What it entitles you to is opportunities like everybody else, and opportunities worldwide.
And that was Honorable Gishuki Mugambi, Member of Parliament for their constituency, Felix Gizuri as Daystar student leader, and George Mulei, a Daystar student. They debunked the intricate issues surrounding the political state of the country. And the conversation seems to have created a lot of online buzz once again. And Wamboi says, "We cannot keep having the same people over and over again. Change is needed." Every election year, many Kenyans turn up to elect leaders who will steer this country forward. Kenya has been governed by the three main political families that have been determining the political state of the country. The Kenyattas, the Mois, and the Odingas have been holding some of the greatest offices in the country for the longest time. In a country that boasts of democracy, the same families and those with proximity to these political families always end up taking leadership roles. Uhuru Kenyatta, Gideon Moi, Raila Odinga, Mutula Kilonzo Jr. and Musalia Mudavadi took after their fathers' political roles. Eugene Wamalwa and the late Moses Kajwang took after their brothers, while Jane Kihara and Edith Nyenze succeeded their husbands. These are not the only cases. Kenya has many leaders who have monopolized political power, which has undermined the democratic representation of the country. Everyone has the right to contest for any political seat that they would want to, but it is up to us as the electorate to be mindful of who we elect. Leadership does not come from family relations, therefore we should not elect leaders based on that. There are better people who are ready to serve this country diligently and are capable of articulating the issues of the citizens and can deliver the mandates of the electorate, and we should therefore give them a chance. The hereditary politics in Kenya has their consequences on the country's democratic legitimacy. And those are my 2 cents. So thank you for watching, and be sure to follow us on our social media pages at The Global Lounge for more news updates, and also continue the conversation using our social media handles. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and tune in to our next episode only here at The Global Lounge. Until next time.